the development in question when that was approved?
This was approved under delegation by staff, as there were not, under their policy for referring determinations to council, there were no triggers, there weren't enough objections to get this to council.
So is it recently between the last council meeting and this one?
Yeah, I can't confirm. I don't know exactly the date that it was issued.
It was 4 weeks ago, I believe.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Last month.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to Mr. Anderson. Is he here online? No. Mr. Thaler. Is he online?
He's online. Yes. Put his camera off.
Mr. Thaler, you have 5 minutes and we'll give you a 30-second reminder at 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, councillors, at your new meeting time. First of all, I'm speaking in particular to the late report 9.4.5, and that I think dovetails on the back of potentially some of the reports at the February meeting in 9.2.2, 9.2.3, 9.2.4, where there were some budgets and budget updates. I'm going to challenge you that when you look to adopt the minutes of the February meeting, I think you need to make some corrections that, as we all know, the CFO was summarily sacked last week, and we believe there is some concern, I certainly have concerns, and the community does too, that the reports put up at the February council meeting were incorrect. That was challenged by the CFO, and that there were corrections made after those reports were adopted. So for the matter of probity, you should actually make a note in the minutes of the February meeting that there were incorrect reports tabled and adopted, and you possibly should adopt formally the corrected reports. Now, do councillors have 9.4.5 in front of them? This is a real mind twister, this document, this report. There are some major problems with it, and I know councillors have received communication from various people. Paragraph 4 on page 3 quotes, there are a large number of budget adjustments going through the system, which most likely is caused by the introduction of new controls. This is a good outcome as it will increase the accuracy of our budgeting and ability to identify where changes are driving cost impacts across the organisation. One of the community suppositions to suppose is that the CFO was sacked for doing his job. And certainly I have some concerns in that regard. That clause, that statement at 4, lends some weight to that supposition. Further, in paragraph 5, opening sentence, it is also cautioned that this is the introductory period of monthly reporting. I listened to the February meeting, and I listened to the, I won't say debate, the debacle of the discussion led by Councillor Summers, where you wanted monthly reports and the CFO was advising that's tough. And then there was motions to make the meeting at the end of the month, to which Councillor Beer could not attend. And after it felt like an hour, that whole discussion was unwound, and you've pretty much gone back to the original meeting schedule. So whilst you are looking for monthly reports, what's put up in 9.4.5 is kind of suggested to be a quarterly report. There are no quarters ending in February. The quarter ends in March. Road Operations Administration, I think there's some curly language used there. Sale yards, you've forgotten to mention the truck wash that is a complete failure, needs to be rebuilt. Ranger services, and you might congratulate yourselves, the level of fines have been issued is higher than what was planned. That's a cost to the community, which is not right. Information and communication technology is some poor decisions. You've got deficit with grants, and legislative governance and compliance. Council does not currently achieve the principles that the Local Government Act states it should achieve. These are problems. Then it goes on to say reputation and image, and that's concerned that the reputation and image is failing. No surprises there. The responsible accounting officer is named as David Rawlings. He's made this report under clause 203 brackets 2 of the Local Government brackets General Regulation 2005. It's actually now the Regulation 2021. That regulation was updated on the 21st of August 2021. There's another problem. I shouldn't be checking your homework, but I'm happy to do that. Income and expenses budget review statement. This is where stuff just doesn't make sense, doesn't add up. Page 9, major problems here. When I go through, and I'm not an accountant, you know, I'm an electrician, I'm an electrical fitter, but I've been around the block, run companies. Doesn't make sense to me, doesn't make sense to some councillors, doesn't make sense to some very well qualified accounting people that I've spoken to. For example, let's look at page 12, middle of the thing, total capital expenditure under capital budget. It says original budget 2021-22, which is obviously the now current financial year, 47.2 million. Projected year-end result, 98.2 million. And year-to-date, 17.6 million. So is there going to be 80 million expended in the next 4 months? You've got a projected $1 million asset sales. You've only sold 29,000. There's just questions after questions after questions. Chief Executive Office costs $1.5 million. It's way too much money. Your libraries, you haven't factored in the Jindabyne library operating costs. Resources and wastes, the numbers don't add up. Most importantly, we look at the end. Tourism and events, 7.5 million. Wow, it's a lot of money. And that includes communications portfolio. I'm going to ask you to pause spending on communications. Council communication is terrible and it needs to be addressed. Happy to take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Thaler. Any questions from Mr. Thaler? Thank you for your time.
One last thing before we go, if you may indulge. I am still waiting for an apology from the...
Goodbye. Thank you.
Youth Council?
Youth Council online?
No, not online.
Not online? If that's the case, can I have somebody to move that we go back into the council meeting? Councillor Johnson, Councillor Summers, seconds that. Do we have any disclosures of interest?
You missed point 3.